Okay, over the years I get a lot of questions about different things. For example, cracks. Do you do them before you seal or after? So you can actually do it either way. If you want to go ahead and get your floor sealed up, you can seal them after, or you can get the floor cleaned up and seal them, the cracks, and then actually do the floor. One of the other questions I get too is regularly is why I use the actual SF concrete sealer to clean the floor versus pressure washing. One of the biggest issues I have is, good example, I got a 20,000 square foot building coming up. I don't want to saturate the floor in water. For me, it's more economical and time saving to actually seal and clean at the same time. One of the other things too is, like these tire marks that are in the concrete, I'm going to pressure wash them and show you that versus actually using the scrubber and the sealer to clean it. So I got this building. I'm going to do half of this. One of the other things too I'm going to show you is brooming in versus buffing the SF sealer in. So I'm going to demonstrate both sides of that too to show you side by side the difference. So anyway, I am going to go through and get half this building cleaned up. Oh, that's another question too is, can I do half the building and then move everything and do the other half? Absolutely, with the SF you can do that without having any seams or marks or seeing where you started and stopped. If you do notice your stopping point and then where you started back, that'll all dissipate within just a matter of a few days. So anyway, so I'm going to be doing cracks. The other thing too with the cracks is I'm going to be using two different products. I'm a big fan of the BASF SL1 and the MP1, so that's the only thing that I use. I've tried so many different crack sealers over the years, and for me, my personal opinion is, looking back at the jobs I've done, the SL1, the MP1 held up way longer and way better than anything else that I've ever tried. So I'm going to do MP1 and SL1 and show you the difference on that. I guess I don't know if I'll do it all on one take here, but for now I'm going to go and get all this stuff cleaned up, get it prepped up, get the floor swept up, and then we'll start the cleaning process from there. So be back in a bit. Okay, I got all the stuff moved on the half that I'm going to be doing. So next step, I'm going to sweep, get the floor swept up. We got our floor dry on here. So for basically step one of cleaning, sweep, get the heaviest debris off, leaves, all that stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and get this all swept up now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all the debris that I'm sweeping up and I'm going to push it to the center of each saw cut joint here, each section. Because after I'm done with that, whether I decide to seal the cracks prior to sealing the concrete or after, I still take my diamond blade and get all the cracks cleaned out and prepped. So you definitely want to do that whether you decide to seal before or after. So I'm going to go through and get this swept up. Okay, I got my little piles. Now I'm gonna grab my diamond blade. Okay, I'm gonna hit the cracks now. I piled up my stuff because we're gonna have to sweep again anyway. I got my safety glasses, my gloves, and got my diamond blade, my 4.5 inch grinder. That's all I use for cleaning out the cracks. So let me get my glasses on. One other thing too is this day and age, everybody talks about masks and stuff. Highly advisable, whether you believe in wearing them or not, to wear them when doing this because of the concrete dust will raise havoc on your sinuses big time. So anyway, we'll get this right now. And there you have it. That's how easy it is to hit the cracks, get them cleaned out. So now what I'll do is I'll go and sweep all that up again and try not to sweep it back into the cracks. So push it towards your center and pull it back. Alright, I'm gonna get my piles picked up. I don't think I need to video that because I'm pretty sure you guys know how to do that. So I will get my piles all cleaned up now. Okay, now after everything, cracks are done, I got the bulk of everything swept up. If you look, you're gonna see, you know, sweep marks where there's dust where the broom didn't get everything. I usually use my backpack blower to finish it out, to completely blow everything off. Or, depends on where I'm at, what's going on, depending on the size of whatever, I'll use the shop vac and then I'll reverse the hose, put it on the back so it blows instead of sucks. If you're going to pressure wash, you can go ahead and just rinse out all your cracks at that point with your pressure washer and get them cleaned up that way. But being I'm doing half, I really don't like the pressure wash, but like I said, I get a lot of people asking me about the pressure washer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this all blown off, and I'm going to do This section right here, just pressure washing because this has got the heaviest tire marks on it. The rest of it, I'm going to do how I normally do, which is using the sealer to clean it. But like I said, it all comes down to how old your concrete is, how big it is, and when you pressure wash, you've got to let it cure out for a good, I recommend 2 days, because concrete is a sponge and it will take up that water. And even though the surface looks dry, it's still going to take time for all that water to evaporate and cure out. So anyway, I'm going to grab my backpack blower and I'm going to kind of dust this off. Normally, under different circumstances, when I'm doing warehouses, I don't normally blow everything off. I go ahead and seal it. Which I guess theoretically, I guess I could show you that process too. So let me get this blown off. Nice thing about it is I got 2 overheads, so the wind just kind of blows everything right through. Okay, I'm going to power wash basically this saw cut section right here. We got some tire marks and stuff in there, and I want to do it just to kind of show you the difference between power washing and actually scrubbing. So I'll get on that right now. See if we can't get them tire marks out. Okay, now that I got it all power sprayed off, I'm going to take my squeegee and squeegee all the water off. This here, these are the only squeegees I use. There's a foam rubber, double blade. Not just for cleaning, but once you get your floor sealed up, these work awesome. Okay, now that it's squeegeed, all the water's off, now you just gotta let it dry. And like I said, with this here, even though the surface appears to be dry, that water absorbs in. You can see these dry spots, how it's soaking in. So basically this section here, we'll have to let it set for a good day. Keep the overhead doors open. That'll help cure it out. Get all that moisture out of there. So meanwhile, being as we got this whole section here, I'm going to start on the other side there. One other thing too that I want to show you is with this floor being power troweled, a lot of people visually look at it and you can see that it's got a nice texture to it. It's pretty smooth looking until you actually get down. And if I can get this to zoom in good enough, you can see all the pits. So theoretically it's not as smooth as it looks, which is fine. Just typical concrete floor. You can see these pits right there. And then if I zoom out, yeah, it actually doesn't look bad, you know, just looking across it. So anyway, let me get everything set up. I'm going to jump across to this other side and we'll get going on that. Okay, I'm going to take my concentrate of the SF. I use a scale. You can actually measure it out. I use a scale just because it's more convenient when I'm on big job sites and stuff. Okay, now that I got it measured out, I have to get some water. Good thing I got my pressure washer here, so I can pull some out of that. It'd be a lot quicker if I ran all the way over to the spigot, but I'll go this route. But anyway, I'm not going to bore you with this detail. I'll fill it up with water, get her shaken up, and then we'll get started on the next section. Okay, now I got my water. When you add your concentrate and then you add water, there's this line right here, this ridge just above the handle. That's about your 5-gallon mark. So, once you snap your lid back on, a couple good shakes and it's all ready to go. So let me get set up and we're going to head over to this next section. Okay, got my scrubber ready. Got a black pad there on the floor. Shop vacs all set up. Got my squeegee, got my broom. So, we'll get started. So dump some out, dump some of the SF out, broom it around, get all the areas covered really good. You're going to find some spots, low spots. All you're doing is just kind of broom it around, making sure everything stays nice and wet. It's going to start working all that muck up. I'm not even sure how old this floor is. I know it's a few years old, probably 5, 6. So after just a couple minutes of brooming around, and getting it puddled up good. Now, one other thing too, when you're done with your broom, make sure you leave the bristles up if you lay it on the floor so you don't leave broom marks. Now the next step, take your scrubber with your black pad and start scrubbing. And you don't spend a lot of time on it, especially the first go around. There's going to be a lot of drag, especially with a black pad. And basically just kind of go over it quickly. You don't want to spend a lot of time on it. Try and get out all imperfections. If you got oil stains, oil spots, you want to work it in until the sealer isn't beaten up anymore on it. Because a lot of times when you get that oil, water, sealer, whatever, it'll just kind of beat up. You want to break that tension and get it to soak down in there. Like I said, this first go around, don't worry about spending a lot of time on it. A few minutes. But like I said, you're going to feel, especially on the finish of the concrete, even though this one's got a nice texture, nice finish, it's still pretty porous. You just want to kind of working around all that dirt and everything. See if I can get zoomed in on this. You can see how it's working all that out. And that's what you want to do, is you just want to get all that muck and stuff worked out of the concrete. Okay, now that I'm done scrubbing, make sure you lift your scrubber up and keep that pad off the floor, especially in areas where you haven't done anything. Next step, we're going to grab a shop vac. She's going to get loud. I just kind of set it down in one corner and squeegee everything to it. Okay, so now we'll let that dry up a little bit. I'm going to probably hit it again right now just because there's so much dirt that's been pounded in. Difference between this and pressure washing. Pressure washing is going to clean the surface. By doing this, when that sealer absorbs down into the concrete, it chemically reacts, and when it does that, it's going to turn into a gel, and anything down in the concrete, it's going to start working it out. But, however, if you do have stains, you can get the oil worked out. Stains, they're going to be there. So, I'm going to hit this one more time quick. And as you can see, it ain't as bad as the first time, so we're pretty good now. So we'll get that all squeegeed up. Thing I need to point out too, you can tell the sealer's starting to set up by just the way the sealer's starting to move now. I'm not sure if you can tell, but it's starting to move a little bit more freely. So anyway, I just want to point that out. Move on to this other section here and get this all cleaned up. One other thing I want to point out, when you're doing sections like I'm doing, where I'm doing half of this building, make sure when you're going through the cleaning process, don't go from saw cut to saw cut. When you're cleaning it, make sure you go past it. because you want to make sure that you get it nice and cleaned on the other side. Because I'm going to show you when I actually start, after this sealing process, when I start the next part of it, I'm only going to come about into this line here. I'm not going all the way to the saw joint. Because when you do that, you can pull debris and stuff if you don't get the saw joints all cleaned out. Then you're going to get muck and dirt and everything mixed in with the sealer, and you can end up with a mess. So I always clean past when I'm doing a full complete seal on, just to make sure I don't get dirt and everything into it. So once you get all that broomed around, hit her with the scrubber. mean, as dirty as it is, I'm going to hit it again. That's pretty nasty. A lot of years of being ground down, dirt pushed in. The other thing too is don't try to do too big of a section. I've been doing it for 21 years and I still, depending on the size of the building, I still use the saw cut joints, the sections to do. Once you get the hang of it and you get it down, understand how much time you have before it starts drying, curing out, flash drying, setting up. You can actually do bigger sections, but you do not want it to get ahead of you. right, this first section that I did, that I pressure washed, I just sitting here thinking, I decided I'm going to go over it with the sealer to kind of show you how much more stuff will come out of the concrete once you start sealing it. So I'll get all set up and get doing this one. Before I start this, I want to point out something. I lowered the overhead door because the sun's changed direction. You do not want the sun beating down on it. You're going to get what's called flash drying. And with that, it's not going to penetrate in like it should, and it's going to start curing and drying on the surface, which eventually that'll all just come off. So it's not a good thing to do. So if you can kind of close the door or at least lower it, you don't want the windows open. You want it as still as possible so it can actually absorb into the concrete. So anyway, with that being said, I'm going to get started on this one now. And I want to show you, okay, this is the side I power washed. So you can see how much muck is still coming out of the concrete. And like I said, it's fine to pressure wash if it's newer. If it's older, I would highly recommend doing it this route. So I'm pretty much going to have to go over this one twice anyway, to make sure all that stuff is out of there. Okay, now that we got that done, we're gonna let it dry up and head to step 2. Okay, now it's all dried out. I intentionally did something so I can show you how to clean it up. But like along the joints here, you can see the splatter marks. Squeegee marks on this pad ain't too bad, but on this one you can kind of see the squeegee marks. There. I'm going to show you how you can clean them up real quick. And the reason I did it this way is because this is a small building, so it isn't real tough to get all that stuff cleaned up. So I'm going to get set up and I'm going to show you how to take care of that. So basically, grab a brand new black pad, get it out there on your floor. And the only time you run into this issue is when you're dealing with an older floor that just has so much stuff pushed and ground down into it. And basically just fly over it with a black pad. It doesn't take long to go over it real quick, just kind of knock everything down, gets all the squeegee marks and everything out of it. I don't know how well you can tell in the video here, but you can see kinda, I get the right lighting, what's been cleaned and what hasn't. Should be able to see somewhat of a line there. But now that this is all prepped, is what we're going to do is I'll show you the two different, how you can actually take the SF and just broom it in, or how you can, I call it mist and buff. And I'll kind of show you the difference on the two of them. So let me get set up for that.